Carlisle, PA to Huntsville, Alabama. From Denver, Colorado to Billings, Montana. Let's ride. We want to ride shotgun with you for the next hour, talking trucking with Deaton and Doty. What's going on, Mike?
Not much. Back from vacation.
Yeah? Did you catch any
Back
fish?
to the grind. I didn't do much fishing, man. We went out first day I got there. We went out Thursday, and tarpon weren't really running yet. Still early in the season, so we only fished for a couple hours that day, and the rest of the time I just hung out with my brother.
Yeah.
I did go finally get my eyes checked out, and apparently I'm by doctor standards I'm legally blind. My prescription was like 2,200, whatever that means, but
Yeah.
he got me hooked up and taken care of. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was just a little bit blurry far away, but apparently he had a field day with busting my chops on that one.
Well, I had, speaking of eyes, so I had to renew my 2-year physical. I think it was in October of last year. Right next door to our office, Dr. And it's funny, his name's Dr. Forsythe, but when I was doing the eye test, and that's no joke, but his nurse was doing it, and they know me because we're right next door, and I couldn't see the line I needed to see, and so she just immediately said, I got to go get this call or something. She walked away, and I took a couple steps forward. I memorized the line. She came back, and I hit it. So then I had to go I had to renew my driver's license on my birthday, April 7th, and I had the same issue, but I could see a little better. It's where you press your forehead against the machine, and I think it just lit up a little better. I got most of them. I think it was the last one. I couldn't tell. I kept saying it was a C, and she's like, try again. And I said, an O, and she's like, try again. It took me about 6 tries, but it was an 8. I don't know how I saw a C, but yeah. So I feel you, Mike. I'm 49, and they're not the same.
Yeah, the nurse came in, she gave me all those tests, and she goes, did you drive here? And I said, yeah. And I guess she went back to my brother and was like, your brother's bad. He can't see. She's like, I got him to 20/20, but he can't see at all.
And just so if you don't know,
I really didn't think it was that bad.
Mike's brother is the doctor, so if you need LASIK, he does it in his basement for cheap cash.
Yeah, right.
You beat me to it. I was just about to say that.
Yeah. So this week on the show, we have several guys that will be joining us. We've got Stories from the Road with Jim Mackey and AJ Woodard. That'll be coming a little later in the show. We'll take out the last 15 minutes with that. Trucking with Kumar, where Ray and Kumar will battle to see who knows more about trucking. Also joining us, and he's on screen right there, Senior Operations Manager at the Dawson Truck Lines and the Deaton Fleet arch enemy, Christian Snead. Thanks, Christian.
Hey, man. Pleasure. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So there's a story behind the arch enemy there. Christian, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So it was the 2018 Meadowlark Agent Summit, or if you want to scroll the screen to get into what that image is. But I have a speech planned, and Russ and I were kind of back and forth the night before, having a good old, I guess, frenemy, not arch.
Yeah.
Frenemy, having a good old competition. And he had told me something the night before, and I figured I'd share it in front of everybody. And I actually have it. I brought it with me.
And let me just say, so the next night we had the banquet dinner on a riverboat, which was really, really nice. Mandy did a great job. And so this was in front of all the different terminal owners and agents. And I had no idea he was going to do this, but when he got up and gave his speech, because he earned Agent of the Year, this is what happened.
So we had previous discussions that night, so I thought it'd be really good at the closing of the entire segment there to say, I'm going to share with you something that a wise philosopher once told me. And that wise philosopher is Russ Deaton. And his words are, I'm coming for you. And I put it in here, and that's the best news you can hear in an organization when people are hungry. And so the look on his face told me he was not kidding. Like, I laughed. I thought, oh, that's hilarious. Like competition. He's like, I'm coming for you. And that was it. So I joked back later and told him that I don't look in the rearview mirror much. But as things would have it, I'm now in his rearview mirror. So,
And we're enjoying that.
right?
We are enjoying that,
That's
Christian.
it. Yeah. Not so much on this side, but that's all right.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's all good. It's all
Yeah.
good competition. And at the end of the day, we're two separate companies, but we're part of one family. And our fleet and the Dawson fleet, we've worked together over the years. When we've had a truck breakdown, you've helped recover a load and got it there.
Yeah.
We've done the same. You're the first one that we reach out to if we need any help, and we hope that we can be that for you guys too.
Yeah, likewise. Iron sharpens iron. Yep.
Yes. So, and Matt brought this picture up. You'll see he might have already brought it up on the screen, but I got this package. Tina and I drove to get her second vaccine shot, so we were out of the office a week or so ago. Ian calls, and we had to drive a little ways to get her vaccine. So Ian calls and says, "There's a package here. It's kind of big. I think it's from Metal Arc from Montana." And I said, "Well, open it and see what it is." And so he does, but then he doesn't call me back. He calls Tina, and she's in the passenger seat working remotely on her laptop while we're on our way. And she starts busting up laughing. And I'm like, what? What was the package? And because Tina was there at the summit this year in Destin, Florida, somebody took this picture this night, and Nikki Bissett was like the referee between this boxing match that we were having about, and I don't even know where it started, but it was kind of like, my fleet's better than yours. No, my fleet's better than yours. I think that's where it was going.
It was you and Chris Taylor getting back after it. It was great.
Yeah, and so someone took this picture, got it to Christian, and this is what the package was. So that night, no one was going to tell me what was in the package. So when we got back, it was about 6 o'clock. I'm like, Tina, I'm going to the office before I go home. I got to see what it was. Well, my guys in the office already had it hanging right here by my desk, and I walked in and died laughing. I got a hold of Christian and let him know, how much I appreciated that. It was a great moment. And it just kind of, you can really feel the competition between us in that picture. And I think you got one for your office too, didn't you,
I
Christian?
do. Yes, I do. And it's hanging on the wall. So anytime you want to come down and see it, it's there.
Yeah, well, and speaking of that, who knows? I may have to. Christian and I made a friendly wager that we did kick out our flatbeds, our open deck trailers.
Yeah, and
It's a
we
little
kicked out the
different.
reefers on our side too. Make it a little van-to-van comparison, right?
So what we did, we bet that I'm gonna fly down there. If our rate per mile is lower than his at the end of this month, Tina and I'm probably gonna take Zachary in with me. One of them, I think Zach.
Why
Tina,
not both?
because Zach's going to the Jim Mackey's cattle show with me next
is.
weekend. But we're gonna fly down there and take Christian and his wife and his staff out to eat. If we win, and I've been pushing my staff all month, if we win, Christian and his wife and maybe one of his guys are gonna come up here and take us out to eat. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I haven't looked all month long, Christian. I have no idea where we're at.
Yeah, so I know Chris had asked Nikki for a sneak peek, and I'm trying to keep my eyes off that. And I talked to Nikki earlier, and she goes, but I may get to see it in person. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Are you going to do a grand unveiling?
Yeah, we can do that. Maybe we even do it on the show.
Yeah.
But I just, it's good. It's good competition. It's pushing our staff to get every penny for every driver, and I'm sure that's doing the same for you. So it's good for everybody.
Oh yeah, the guys on the road are winning, and that's important. It also shows you what kind of thresholds we can break through if we actually push the numbers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great.
So now you know the story of the picture on the wall. So Mike, let's talk about this DAT webinar. So we watch this webinar every Tuesday. Christian, Mike, just let's go through some of these things that they put out, and please, let's whatever feedback you want to talk about or elaborate on, let's do it. The first thing I wrote down this week was Chicago to Denver is a high volume lane always, and you're always looking for a backhaul out of Denver. Denver's always notoriously cheap, but the Denver Chicago backhaul rates up. Up 29 cents from this time last year. But Mike, you brought up a good point. Last year, we were going into the pandemic, so it wasn't really maybe we shouldn't gauge it off of that. But right now it's a $1.08 plus fuel, and fuel this week, Ian, was what, 36 cents. So yeah, 36
Yeah,
cents.
36 cents.
So $1.44 coming in back from Denver to Chicago. And they just pick out random lanes and kind of throw it out there each week. All 135 markets for reefer produce is up 30% from this time last year. We're getting a lot of tomatoes right now, and at the beginning of May there will be a ton of watermelons. Are you guys seeing that? You guys run reefers too, don't you?
Yeah, we run reefers. Yeah, and Chris provided some information too as far as rejection rates, and we can get into that as much as you want or as little. But yeah, Florida, especially the southeast, those. I mean, you got melons coming in Georgia. As soon as the rain clears out, Florida's going to be hopping again.
Yeah.
Show that 100 of the cities have over 20% rejection rate increase. So it's, freight's still here, and especially in those produce markets. And the ratios you see out there from, load truck to load ratios are pretty insane with that as well.
Yeah. Mike, since you were bringing this up and we were talking about the other day, so there's drivers out there who may not understand the rejections. Can you explain that so everybody's on the same page? We know what we're talking about.
So yeah, the tender rejections, and Christian's probably much better, can explain it much better than me, but the tender rejections basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, Christian, but is basically the contracts that that carrier for that contract gives back, right? That they don't want to run it at that rate. They don't have the capacity, or for whatever reason, they have rejected those loads, and it goes on to the spot market.
Right, exactly. So essentially, and I know we talk about freight waves, that's where we're getting some of the information from. They carry like 80%, it's like $250 billion worth of freight spend. 80% of the market, and what they're doing is they're saying, hey, when these tenders are sent out and they're rejected, then it comes to a rejection rate. And now that could happen multiple times. It could go to a JB Hunt and then a Swift and an XPO. And even the brokerage houses, when they submit their rejections from their RFQs, that would still land on it because it's coming out of a shipper.
So,
and that's what drives the spot market, is thus it's pretty much an overflow from the actual tender market into the spot market, which is why it's so fast paced right now, because so much is dumping into it and there's only so much truck capacity there.
And what was that figure you just said, about 100 cities or up?
Yeah, so for the van outbound tender rejection, so we look at volume and index. There's 100 cities that are above a 20% rejection rate. When you think about that, I mean, that's 20 of every 100 loads are being rejected. And we're not even into flowers and produce at this point, and that's usually where you see the biggest scatter of rejections. And so the southeast has already started to warm up. As far as its rejections, are the rates coming out here yet? Like Mike, you and I talked earlier. Sporadically, depends on when you get in there, but that's going to be a market with melons moving and everything else being pulled.
Yeah, southeast I can see heating up.
Yeah,
quick.
I mean, even the Northeast, it shows that upstate New York and a majority of PA is above a 15% rejection rate. And as you know, for New York and PA, especially this time of year right now, that's fairly large. So you can get your trucks in there for great money for guys that aren't paying attention.
And get out.
And then you can slaughter them coming out.
Yeah, we've actually been sending a pretty steady stream of trucks into upstate New York, and we've been doing really well with them.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was really interesting, and 90% of all these flower loads for Mother's Day, the Mother's Day push comes through Miami.
Yeah.
And we've ran these. Christian, you said earlier, you guys, your fleets ran these in the past. But was really cool, interesting, and just fun fact. They come from Ecuador and Colombia. So 90% of the Mother's Day flowers are coming from Ecuador, Colombia, and come right through Miami. A lot of it's team freight and driver assist, which we've done them, so they're just tailgating. You're just pulling them to the back.
Yeah.
I know Ray did a lot of those in the past for us, and Mike, you did them too, right?
Yeah, I did some plant loads, tailgating some plant loads out of Central Florida, Orlando area.
Cali reefer rates, according to the DAT, the analyst said last week, all the way from San Diego up past the Bay Area, it's on an uptick. It's starting to warm up really well. We're seeing it. We've got a lot of reefers that do run out there and run back. So Flatbed, man, flatbed 327 average in 135 cities last week plus fuel.
Yeah.
That's strong. And they see no end in sight. It's just like an arrow going to the moon. I love it.
Yep.
And our flats are seeing it. I mean, I told you guys last week, Tom put a $14,000 week on Kevin, and Kevin's got another week coming just like that. I mean, it's there, and
And with that
it.
much freight is good for the driver. You don't always
great.
have to truck your loads because you can pick, one from the other. You don't have to throw 8 foots the whole time.
And honestly, the way this market's shaping up, and I've been telling our drivers and I know our dispatchers, this isn't the time to plan a vacation and go on vacation. If you're a truck driver, man, this is such a great market. You make hay when the sun's shining. You got to go get it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd be doing. And we're seeing that with a lot of our fleet. Houston to LA flatbed jumped up 274 plus fuel. So that Houston to LA is probably a little under the average, but they just threw out some lanes to give us an idea. Van rates a slight decline, down 2 cents a mile from last week, 231 average plus fuel, all 135 markets. And I don't know about you guys, but I've seen a slight decline. I booked a few van loads this week. Well, Ray and a couple other guys, but I thought Minneapolis would be a lot better than it was outbound on Monday. But it was still okay. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I kind of felt the same. I was out for, most of the week last week, or from Wednesday on. I just got back Tuesday, but I kind of saw the same, a little bit harder to get that money we were getting, a couple weeks back or so out of the Midwest. I expected a little bit better, but that's just asking for the money, really. If they're getting a little tougher, they've been paying out the nose all year so far. So
Yeah.
But I think I saw, and I don't know where I saw this, but I don't know, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but a lot of places maybe they're needing this stuff, but not as bad. They're just getting to a point where they're restocking now, right? They're restocking everything. All these stores are having to restock the shelves, so they're not, a month or two ago they were completely out of everything, and people were wanting it like now. I think now they've maybe got to a point where they don't need it as bad as quick, where they're just restocking everything. But again, that's just something I read.
Yeah. And Russ, we had that DAT analyst at the Metal Arc Summit that said that there is always a ceiling, or historically has been a ceiling, and we're at that ceiling. So he said, unless supply and demand changes greatly, you're going to see a little bit of recession because the shippers say, I'm just historically have not paid over that rate, and we'll just have it sit around until somebody can move it. Sometimes you're lucky with a 3 o'clock truck and you get to name your rate. I think we'll see more of that. Hopefully Mother's Day shows up in a week and a half. Don't forget about that, guys. But the flowers start to move and everything else on a more consistent basis here, and as May opens up, I think those rates are going to pop up there another 10-15 cents.
Yeah, and I also so speaking of flowers, South Florida, Tom and I were talking today what he was getting out of there. He said, Russ, we were talking about where to send Jesse because he's empty and doing his break tonight. We were going to load him early. He said, where do you want to send him? And I said, well, where do we see? He's in a reefer. And I said, because we like to run Jesse north and south, Michigan, Ohio, and then sometimes a little Arkansas, and then back down into the Florida. But Tom said, let's just send him south, man. Just send him straight down as far into Florida as you can get. I can get him $5,000 coming out, probably on 1,000 miles.
Yep.
So it's already starting.
Yeah.
We talked about tender rejections already. So the forecast, and you give me some insight on this too, that basically the dry van forecast, it's pretty much on a steady, there's going to be some dips, and in the last couple weeks we saw a little bit of a dip, but nothing major. And like you said, when you hit that ceiling, you're going to see that. Reefer steady going into May with an uptick later in the month is what they're projecting, and then flatbed just hot everywhere, still trending up into May. When they showed the market maps, it's just red everywhere for flatbed, so that's really good. The outlook for the balance of 2021, and basically this is kind of like throwing a dart at a big dartboard because nobody knows, but these guys are probably the best in the business, and The spot rates stay hot through July 4th. After the 4th, it'll probably dip a little into the fall, but upticks in manufacturing markets could help the summer rates as we get back to normal, which is great. We're starting to see it up here, getting back to normal. People are coming back to work. Our office, just like anybody's, we've been out and working remotely. Our dispatch has been back for about a month, and I think May 8th, everybody will be back. Right, Ian?
Yeah, we'll pretty much all be vaccinated by then and be ready to go. Yeah. We're all excited, though.
Yeah, we are. It's nice to be out of my garage. I've booked more loads in my garage than, I don't know, in the last year.
Russ was in his garage so much he had to install a heater out there.
I did. It gets cold up here in Cleveland and near Cleveland. So I had my buddy come over and help me install a gas heater in the garage. So during the COVID winter of this year, I could sit out there in a lawn chair, and it was about 80 degrees when it was snowing out, and book freight. But so with that, there was a question they brought up on there, and I just wondered your guys' thoughts on it. When fuel prices go up, do contract rates and spot rates go up? And I thought it was interesting because I always thought it should. I always thought, when freight prices go up, when fuel prices go up, so should the freight. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, Mike, Christian?
You would think, but I think it's supply and demand, and I don't think the market really looks at the fuel. I don't know.
And I think some of it depends on the market you're in. If we've got a couple of customers that we bid out just flat out, and we know that fuel is going to dip and change, give or take 10 to 15 cents a year. We put enough meat on it that we're not concerned about it. But when you're bidding larger, when you're moving proteins and for larger corporations, it's always plus fuel. You really have to watch that when you're negotiating contracts because a paper mill's fuel index might be 15 cents where the market's going to be 36. So
right.
On a contract style it will, but I think Doty's right on the spot with where a majority of people are leaning because it's more profitable right now. If you can get a truck, somebody has capacity, they're going to pay the rate right now. So if you're thinking that the rate's 1,800, ask for 28 and see where you land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah. And now too, I think,
go ahead, Mike.
Now too is a good time to probably build those relationships for the contract rates and get customers.
Right.
They're looking for people.
Yeah, you guys have assets. That's the only thing they need right now, and especially in the capacity that you can drop trailer or provide some equipment functionality with the shortage. I mean, we're a year out from utility that they're getting a drive in or refrend, a new one. So, when you're a year out, that just tells you capacity is not going to fix itself unless we have a doom and gloom market. So, if you've got customers nearby that are drop trailers, not only can you drop them, but you can name your rates, supply the service, and then hope they don't leave you when it flips.
Yeah.
If anything, you'll be competitive against who else wants to walk in there.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Hey, Joel. So last week we did some draft picks with Joel. Christian, you like football? I see that something on your wall there behind you.
Yeah, that's Tim Tebow. He played for the Jets. I don't kind of like Cleveland, right? It's like the Jets.
Okay.
I look forward to the first 2 games of the season, then I get disappointed.
Tebow played for the Jets.
Yeah, they're still
for like 2 games.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, it's like Brett Favre. They used him for 4 games to sell some jerseys, and like, all right.
Tebow on the Broncos was a beast, though.
I was gonna say, didn't Denver draft him? Yeah,
they did. They did.
And
he went to the playoffs. Yeah,
I saw him in Gainesville.
He did play baseball, Ian.
Yeah, he's just playing baseball now, right?
No,
for the
he
Mets
tried.
Double-A.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna go past that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw him in Gainesville?
Yeah, I saw him.
He played for the
Promise
Gators,
game.
right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Against Old Miss, the game they had lost that year. They won the national championship that year.
Well, we're pretty excited here in Cleveland. I guess tonight's the big hoorah downtown Cleveland with everybody that's somebody. Is it with the drafts tomorrow?
The
But
parties
the big
tonight.
parties
The
tonight
who's
down
who,
there.
yeah. With the rain.
So that's pretty good for our city of Cleveland.
They definitely
But
need
Joel,
it.
in the 11th pick of the 2021 NFL draft, the New York Giants selected
Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle, Northwestern.
With the 12th pick, Joel, Philadelphia Eagles selected
Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith, wide receiver. Alabama.
Joel.
I got a rep.
He's got him repped. He's got his Alabama hat on. He's.
Yeah, I've lived there.
Yeah.
I will admit I pulled for Ohio State.
He does.
That's the Roll Tide team, right?
Yeah,
Roll Tide?
yeah, the Roll Tide.
Okay.
What's the whole the Roll Tide thing? I don't get it. I never did.
Roll Tide is like their.
I mean, there's
call
no.
sign.
Yeah, but
It's
like,
their-
what's that mean?
Yeah, it's like there's no. Are they talking about
I
the
don't
Gulf
know.
shores of Alabama?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
where the tide is. and-
I guess like red tide. I don't know. They
Oh.
somehow it's synonymous with elephants.
Kumar,
So
let's
I'm
get a
not-
fact check on that for next week.
It's kind of like War Eagle. If you're
Yeah.
an Auburn fan.
And if anybody's wondering, that truck in the picture behind Joel, that is an actual picture of the truck that he smoked his brakes on going into Grand Junction, and that caught on fire in front of a school, and they had to evacuate the school.
I thought
And
it was the
no, it's not. It's
Pre-trip.
just a just a
forgot my
stock
pre-trip.
photo. But all right, Joel. Thanks. How about two more, Joel? With the
All right.
13th pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select.
Elijah Vera Tucker, offensive lineman, USC.
And with the 14th pick, the Minnesota Vikings select.
Christian Darrisaw, offensive lineman, Virginia Tech.
And thanks to Minnesota, that's where we got our head coach from the Cleveland Browns. He was the offensive coordinator there, and man, I think he was he was coach of the year, right, Zach?
What?
Our
I have no idea.
yeah, he was
Stefanski?
Yeah, Stefanski was the coach of the year
I
in the NFL last year. First year with the
honestly
Browns.
have no
He
idea.
might have been.
Yeah, it is. We don't have to fact check that. I know.
Can we fact check that?
I can
Speaking
confirm
of
that.
fact
I
checking,
remember.
last week I mentioned on the show that there were 6,000 outbound loads out of Laredo. Zach said, "Are you sure that's?" I said all trailers. He said, "Are you sure that's not?" I thought it was just reefers. We did check that, and we were right. It was all trailers. So it was about 6,000 loads of any trailer coming out of Laredo last week. So I just want to clarify that. Zach.
Yes.
So we're gonna put up a picture. You guys, you might see it now. This is Joel in 1993. Joel's been around.
Contrary belief.
Joel's been with me. He's
Joel's having a
It's
good
not
time that
when we started the company. Joel's I've been here the longest. Obviously, I started it. Joel's been here the second longest. But I didn't know him in '93. We went to truck driving school later after that. But this was Joel in '93, and then we found Joel when he played in a band in that same year in 1993. Zach, can you throw it up there? All right, so you'll see that.
Zach was born in '93.
I was
Yeah,
born in
Zach
'92.
Zach
Ian was born in '93.
Zach-
I was born in
Zach
'92.
was 5 minutes old.
5 seconds old.
Yeah. So, Mike, you want to go into some of your guys? What you want to go over, Robbie or?
Yeah, I'll
Potts?
go over Robbie and Potts. We were just talking about flatbed. I only got one step deck guy. He does really well. I just got him. I got to start looking. I got to get with Tom too or something because I need to get him to some better rates. They just started coming up, and I got him a good load from. I just booked him out of Louisiana to Ohio, 900 miles for 3,700.
He does stay in a tight area though, so
So that wasn't bad.
typically.
Yeah, we can open him up now. I just like to, he'd like to stay south for the winter, but open him up a little bit more. So I'll go into him more next week. But let's see. Let me share my screen here again. I got the maps up. So let's see. Yeah, so this was kind of Potts route. Again, I was out most of the week, but he did Effingham to Midway, Dandridge over to Mississippi up to Indiana, and Indiana down to Texas. 2,800 miles, 2,817 was his total miles, and he was at, well, I got it right here. He was at 71.77. So I think he was just over 250 something a mile for his total miles.
And Tom's in a dry van.
Yeah, he's in a dry van. He's one of my company drivers. He was in the truck that I drove. Um, so we'll see what he does this week.
Selby got it.
And then Robbie, let's see, Robbie he started off way up here in the Northeast.
That's because I sent him to Maine.
I was gonna say, who
Yeah.
put him there?
I sent him to Maine.
Every time I go on vacation, every time I leave, Russ sends somebody to Maine, North Dakota.
Can I hear Nova
like-
Scotia?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Teresa asked me, she goes, how many vacations is Mike going to take? He's turning into Ray.
But yeah, so he started off in the Northeast, and this was kind of his route: Virginia up to Wisconsin and down to Daytona, 3,200 miles. He did 79.50 for his total miles. And again, on both of these guys, they both would have did a little bit better. Robbie had a load that I didn't get. I think it canceled. It was paying a little bit better than this load that was right near where he delivered, but that kind of canceled last minute. And then same thing happened to Potts. Instead of that load that he got going down to Texas, there was another potato load that was going to come right out of Elkhart going to Effingham for, I think it was 3,600 or something. I got him that load last week or the week before, and that ended up canceled. They said it had to go on a reefer this time for whatever reason. So, but things happen. It's trucking. You roll with it and adjust. But those were.
What kind of revenue did you say Robbie ended up with?
Robbie did 79.50.
Yeah.
For this route, and that's
Robbie did have
total miles.
So Robbie, that was only a 500-mile run, I think, up there to Auburn, Maine, and him and Keeley took off. I think they had a day or two off up there. He said he was going to rent a car and do some sightseeing, so they did have some time off.
Yeah, well, that was the previous week. So I started his week after that load the load he got out of Maine to Virginia, which this load actually, I didn't do too bad on this load. I got him out of Maine for, I think it was, I don't know, $2,600 or something down to Virginia, 2,700.
Yeah.
It was a really good. It was like
surprised.
It was
decent out of Maine.
Yeah.
It was close to $3 a mile, and I don't know if it was a Chevy Hunt load. I don't know what happened. It was a 2-stop delivery, but it was the same Walmart distribution center for the delivery. So
Maine's rejection rates were the highest in the Northeast.
So there you go. That's why.
That used to be a 400
See,
mile
there was
that was
some
tough.
method.
I had to dig that load up though.
He told me I made a million calls.
7,200 for the week. That's banging.
But listen, there was a method to my madness, Mike, when I sent him up to Maine.
Yeah, right. You called Christian and got the tender.
Yeah, I can act like I knew that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we absolutely had that conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, Robbie.
Every time I talk to Joe, he's like, "You want to go to Massachusetts?"
Hey, that's Ray joining us. What's up, Ray?
What's up, Ray?
Christian,
Hey,
you
not
know
much,
Ray?
man. How you guys doing?
Good.
I just shut down. I made it down to Arkansas. The Flying J at the Arkansas-Texas state line.
Yeah.
On the 30. Yeah, that's where I made it to right now. I'm shut down now, and I got about 350 miles to do tomorrow, and I'm done going home for a week.
See, there's Ray going home again.
Yeah. Hey, in all fairness, I've been out for. By the time I get home, I'll be out 4 weeks. And just for numbers' sake, I've netted, not including the load that I've turned in already, I've netted 14,000.
That's good.
In 3 weeks, because I still got to do this. I'll be turning this one in tomorrow morning, and this one is probably going to net me another like 2,500 or something. Yeah, roughly about 2,500.
Yeah, and so that's the hardest. That's the hardest you've worked, and the longest you've stayed out in a couple of years, Ray.
Yeah, this is the longest. Yeah, dude, I'm homesick times 5.
Well, listen, guys. So last week we did a little segment. Our sound engineer Kumar knows nothing about trucking, so we've got some questions this week, and he's going to battle Ray. Ray's on the show to go against Kumar to see who knows more about trucking. However, there's a little wrench I'm going to throw in this week. Sunday, I was shopping at World Market with Tina, and I came across, if you've ever been to World Market, they have some food from all over the world. I came across a jar of lasagna-flavored crickets, and it's a snack. And Matt will put that up on the screen. We'll get a good picture of the crickets. But for each question that Kumar gets wrong, he's got to eat some lasagna-flavored crickets.
I knew that was going to happen. Great.
So
I'm excited.
What if Ray gets it wrong?
We'll mail him.
We'll mail him some. Yeah.
Whole jar.
We'll send it to his Omni.
I'll just buy some of the Flying J pizza.
Yeah.
I'm just going to open it up now because I'm going to get them wrong.
Yeah. So, Kumar, Ray, where on your rig would you find your fifth wheel? Kumar?
Let's see. I'm gonna really try hard to get these this week because this smells like straight up rodent.
You don't
I
like cricket
smelled
bread?
it today. I almost gagged.
Yeah, it does not smell good.
They don't taste as bad as they smell.
We'll figure that out.
No, I already did.
Where on your rig would you find your fifth wheel?
I would say you would find your fifth wheel under the under the trailer in the back.
Wow.
Oh.
Did I get it?
Ray?
Somebody check
What
it.
do you
Is he
think?
Googling? Is he Googling it?
He didn't know. He didn't know these questions. You know, he doesn't have them ahead of time. So I gotta give him that one.
That's it.
What do you think, Christian?
Yeah,
I think
that's impressive. That's close.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to eat
Yeah.
cricket?
No, right? Yeah.
It's cricket worthy. It is
yeah.
cricket. It's a cricket worthy.
If you lose,
Yep, there you
gotta
go,
eat 'em.
Russ.
Yeah. Okay. So the fifth wheel is on the frame. That's actually the opposite of what you said, where the
But it's
trailer's
still
at.
under the
So,
trailer.
yeah. No, it's on
It's not
the
that
track. The frame of the tractor.
Look,
It's a cricket worthy
Yeah.
answer.
we might have to cut this broadcast short.
Yeah,
ladies
you're-
and gentlemen.
You look like you're about to pass out after eating that.
I don't.
You got a trash can next to him.
crab with salsa last year.
Bark bag, BB.
live crap.
Okay. I didn't know that so I should have made these harder questions. Joel, text me those other questions we had.
That
I'll
was,
switch it up here. Kumar,
Yes, sir.
So what's the score?
I guess it's 1-0 Kumar.
All right, we'll put that on the screen.
On the CB, you hear, "What's your 20?" What does that mean?
That means, what's your location?
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I feel set up here.
Kumar,
Nobody
were
sent
you
him the
on
questions.
Smoking the Bandit all weekend?
what a turn of events, huh?
Now,
Yeah, you've been watching Smoking the Bandit all weekend.
Option this time.
now I will say, Kumar has been listening to me talk on the phone
trucking.
for about
True.
5 years now. So there's a couple things he's picked up on.
Plus, everyone knows what's your 20 mean.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy.
Keep it going with these easy questions. I like it.
Yeah.
You're ready to eat
I don't
Congratulations.
think. I think I'm set up.
some crickets now.
No, well, you didn't send the questions to anybody.
I had them here on my desk.
No.
I did go outside a couple times.
Yeah, I know.
Kumar, in an 8-day
So yeah,
period.
I'm gonna.
If he gets this, then you'll know it's rigged, but we
In
did
an-
not rig it.
In an 8-day period, Kumar, how many hours can a truck driver legally drive? In an 8-day period.
An 8-day period. Okay. 64.
That's correct.
Ray? Ray?
70.
70.
Yeah,
Close,
the answer's
but
70.
cricket, you didn't get it.
All right.
It's your turn.
Great.
Cricket.
Pelosi only has to eat a leg.
Actually, with your pre-trip and everything, you might be closer to 64.
Depends how long you log them.
Those are some long pre-trips. Those are very thorough.
They're not that bad.
They're disgusting.
Pre-trip, loading, unloading. I don't know. I think think
And
Russ
and
got to
that's
eat
like
another one.
sunflower
like
seed.
lasagna
tastes-
flavored cricket side. I mean, I don't
That
even-
tastes terrible.
That's horrible.
It's a little dry. Tastes like a root, but it's
They
not
look.
that bad.
I mean, it's not like chocolate covered ants or anything where you don't.
no, it also feels like you're eating dirt
It
too.
feel you could feel the.
It just
legs.
feels dirty.
Anyway,
The delicacy.
Uh-oh, we might.
We're good. We're all right.
all right.
We got a puker.
You need to put the video
Kumar.
on that.
You really don't want to get any more wrong.
Ray.
Yeah.
He's not okay.
He's thinking about it too hard.
Kumar. Ray.
Yeah.
Where would you find the headache rack?
The headache rack.
Oh, I know. Oh.
Can you use it in a sentence?
Can you spell that?
Now the pressure's on. I don't like this.
He's gonna puke.
Headache rack. I am going to say the headache rack is above the driver door. Because you hit your head on it?
Give you a headache.
Eat him. Here he goes.
Where'd they end up?
He chugged some
Where are the
water.
We need a designated cricket eater.
Wow.
Where'd they go?
I don't know yet.
There's one
Crickets
more
are gone.
question. Ray, tell him where the headache rack is. Why he chugs water and
Okay.
eats crickets.
Yeah,
my
the headache rack is usually find that on a truck that's hauling flatbed, and that's the either the toolbox or the rack that's bolted to the frame right behind the sleeper. And usually you carry your flatbedding tools in it.
And most of ours are all on the bobtail on the back of the truck, but there are
Yeah, the-
trailers that have a headache rack
That'd be
attached to
headboard.
the trailer,
Yeah,
front of the
headboard.
trailer.
Yeah, correct.
Well, while he's gagging over there, chewing on these crickets, let's just get right on to the next one so he can finish these off.
I don't like this.
In the trucking industry, what is a freight shaker?
Freight shit.
Oh, that's a great question.
You're getting tougher.
Thank God.
Can we give him a hint?
Freight-
Can we give him a hint?
No, Ray. Mute Ray
Yeah.
here.
I like that. Yeah, give me a hand.
No.
Freight shaker.
I feel bad for all the crickets he's eating.
They're already dead.
They're disgusting.
It's a wheel that is not tightened correctly. Yeah.
All right, where are they at?
You go ahead and eat the rest of them. That was it.
That's what it feels
Trucking
like.
question-
He doesn't have to
questions
eat
with
all of them though,
Kumar.
because he got two right.
Okay, he can
That's
do
where the
another
nickname
swig.
came from.
Ray, what's a freight shaker?
Okay, and that wheel that he's talking about is usually found on the brand truck called Freightliner. So the Freightliner is a freight shaker.
It's a slang name for a Freightliner truck, and a lot of truck drivers use that. Everybody knows what it means.
Everybody.
They
Except for
shake
Kumar.
going down the road.
Well, thanks for playing along with us, Kumar and Ray. Thanks
no
for joining
problem.
us on that. We look forward to next
Absolutely.
week.
Yeah,
What
that
he
was-
has to eat.
That was really fun.
So, Mike, let's see. We went over your guys real quick. Ian, can you go over? We got a few minutes here. I want to get to Jim Mackey, and then can you just kind of go over what you were going to talk about? What you did
let's
with
see
Jordan?
if I can get this screen share working.
I think he just pressed the button.
Here we go. So, first one we're going to go over driver. Well, this week we wanted to go over a couple guys who just booked themselves. They do this all on their own. We assist, where we can, checking on brokers for them, making sure we're all set up, and just making that process a little easier for the driver when it comes to booking. But first one, he stayed home for a couple days during the week, ended up coming out a little late on Thursday. He ran all the way from Los Angeles over to Jacksonville. He did 67.50 on only 2,400 miles. Pretty standard, I would say, coming out of
It's probably average
coming out of
load coming out of
California.
Cali right now.
Yeah,
in a van.
yeah. So even though he only, ran, 5 days out of his week, he still did pretty good job there.
Yeah.
The other one we want to go up and take a look at, driver. He didn't want anyone to mention his name, but he always knocks it out of the park. He started out in Georgia, going up to Tennessee, 1,400 on like 530 miles. Then he ran Tennessee over to South Carolina, 1,450 on almost 400 miles. Another good one. Then he ran only 200 miles from South Carolina up to Virginia, and he did 1250 on that. Really, really good. Then after that, ran down from Tennessee to Georgia, $1,000 on 315 miles. And to help final out that week, he ran Saturday to Monday, Lithonia, Georgia to Medley, Florida, 666 miles for $2,200. So he did a lot of really short loads, but they were very well paying, and he stuck to it. He ended up doing like 7,300 on 2,200 miles. So,
and he books himself.
Yeah, and he books himself.
And we don't have a lot of guys that book themselves on our fleet.
Just all mine.
Yeah, Zach likes them. He likes the guys that book himself. But we, over the years, we tell guys, if you do it right and you just, it's our name out there. And so we got to make sure that we're booking freight and we're doing what we say, and we're not canceling on them. But the few guys that we have that do it, they do really well. And that's always an option. When you grow with us, you will have that option down the road. With that said, though, we had Jim Mackey on the phone a few weeks back, and we kind of wanted to bring Jim Mackey in with another driver that's on our fleet, the truck I showed you last week on the show, AJ Woodard from Dunn, North Carolina, and Jim Mackey from all over the United States. Jim, AJ, how's it going? You guys with me?
Yeah, I'm doing fine.
So Jim told me, I said, Jim, you got any good stories for this week from the road? And Jim said, you pick a city, throw a dart at the map, and just give it to me, and I got a good story for you. So Jim's been driving for 40 years. AJ, how long you been driving?
I want to say about 8 years now.
About 8 years. So the city that we picked is Hermiston, Oregon, Jim.
Yeah, cabbage.
That's right, cabbage. Coming down cabbage.
Yeah.
AJ, you've been there?
Stories for that one.
Russ has one.
Yeah, I have one too. AJ, you've been there, right? Coming down cabbage?
Yeah, I've been across there like twice.
Yeah. AJ likes to keep it in the South. So what do you got, Jim?
I like the...
You ready?
Go ahead, AJ. Jim?
I like to keep it down here where it's nice and warm. I don't see a lot of that white stuff.
So what do you got for us, Jim? Cabbage.
All right. Well, my late wife, she went with me one time up that way. It's probably about 12, 13 years ago, and had a load of rolls of paper on. And we was headed off that mountain. We was doing really good, 30 mile an hour, I believe is the speed limit. We was right up close to Gross. And she looks over the edge on the passenger side and says, "What's that road down there?" I said, "Just hold on, we'll get there." And we got to the first bend to go down the hill, and my Jake brake quit. So here I am, I got a full load on, and I'm going down cabbage, 8 or 9 miles, something like that, 6%.
Yeah.
And my Jake brake quit. I'm 30 mile an hour speed limit. And I got it all the way to the bottom, never smoked my brakes. We went into the casino.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. Wild Horse.
I've been there.
I believe it's the Wild Horse Casino.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's what it's called. I ain't really sure.
As soon as you get to the bottom, it's north, right? You get off and go north.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, we was able to go in there, and the brakes were fine. So I did pretty good. But that gives you an idea what the hill's like, those people don't know.
Yeah.
So now the next story about this was back probably in the early 90s. I was in between jobs, and my cousin, he had a load of batteries he had to take out there. And he said, "Hey, let's team it out there really quick. They got a load of apples coming back." I said, "All right, cool." So he takes off, and he says, "Well, when you get up there almost to the cabbage, I'll drive." I said, "All right." So he starts off the mountain, and I thought, man, this guy's crazy. He's going like 55, 60 mile an hour down there with a full load of batteries on, pretty heavy and everything. And all of a sudden he heard down at the bottom, there was a cop sitting there running radar. And he turns to me and he says, "What are we going to do? We can't get slowed down before we get to that cop. Well, the brakes will be smoking. He'll pull us over anyway." I was, man, I don't know. I guess try to slow down. He sat there for a second or two, and he says, "I know what to do." He picks up the CB microphone and he says, "Hey, Snyder." He's quiet. "Hey, Snyder, pull in that tanker. Your brakes are smoking." "Snyder, can't you hear me? Your brakes are smoking. It's kind of orange under there." "Snyder." You know, and it goes on with that for a little while. Next thing we know, we see a cop going up the hill with his lights on. He's, "All right, now we can go." And away we went on down the bottom of the hill.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, Cabbage. I've Joel and I've been down that when we were teaming many times, and I've been down it alone, and I've been down it in freezing fog, and it's. I'm curious, Jim. How fast were you going with your when your ex or your wife was on the truck with you that time and you lost your Jake brake?
When I got to the bottom, I was only going about 45, something like that.
That's still scary coming down there. It's curvy. And
well, you know, it was 30 mile an hour at that first bend at the top is when I lost it. And I was able to keep it down. And when I got down to that last wide bend before you go into the flat stretch,
yeah,
I was only about 45.
Yeah.
But I was able to go in and park the truck and the brakes were fine.
Yeah, when you come down, when you get to the top of Cabbage, when you start to come down, if you look to your left, it's like looking out of an airplane, isn't it, Jim? It's like looking out of an airplane window. That's how far down it looks. It could be pretty spooky.
It's a long ways down.
Yeah.
And when she looked out there, she says, "What's that road down there?" And I said, "Just hold on, we'll be there."
For sure. So AJ.
She didn't know what to say.
AJ, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
So what's going on with you? Tell us a story from the road.
Well, I mean, I don't really have much. I mean, I've been one of the loads. Tom booked me over to California, up there in the mountain part.
Northern Cal.
I passed a sign. Yeah, well, it's kind of like midway, but up in the mountains part of it.
Mm-hmm. How'd you go up? Did you go? Was it over down, or
did you? Back way back there. No, I come across 40, and then it shot me up through the backwoods up there.
Oh, okay.
And I had a load of military trailers on. A guy had bought. And then I was going down through there, and then all of a sudden I passed the sign, and by the time I passed it, I read it. It said trailers over 48 foot not recommended.
Oh yeah.
And
I forget the name. I know what road you're on.
Yeah, it won't bad until I got to going down the mountain. When you look over, you got Rock Hill on one side and a drop on the other, and it's a 2-lane.
Yeah.
So you just hope you didn't met nobody coming up.
Yeah,
I met a couple of cars coming up, and I met one in one of the curves. I was in their lane and my lane too, so they had to come to a quick stop.
What do you? I'm thinking, Jim. What is that? The 395? He's probably talking about going north on the west side.
Yeah, I'd say probably. Yeah, I think that's what that is.
Sierra Nevadas. Yeah, I've been up through there. That's
where you go up there.
It's pretty, but there's no fun in the truck.
I think that's 395.
Yeah.
Not sure. I ain't never done that awful much up in them parts, but I can tell you one about coming onto a road like that. I had picked up in Omaha a water treatment plant. It was a light load, and it was going over into North Carolina, just south of the Virginia line over there a ways. And I was going down through there, and I thought, why do I got to go all the way up 81 and then come back down 77? I can take this road going right across here. Well, the sign said not recommended for vehicles over 40 foot. Well, I thought I had a cab over at that time and a 42-foot trailer. I thought, well, shoot, that ain't bad. I got a light load on. So I'm going across there, and maybe I shouldn't have done this. And it was a nasty road. And, well, there was these two people talking on the CB going across there. And I said, hey, how much more of this do I got to go on? And they says, "Oh, you almost got it done. You'll be okay. You're almost across there." So all right, thanks. I kept on going. Pretty soon I heard him on the CB, and the lady said to the guy, she says, "You lied to that truck driver." He says, "What do you mean I lied to him? He's got to know what goes up has to come down. I can't believe he made it along that creek road anyway." So then I get on over there, and I call for directions on how to get to this place to make my delivery. And the guy says, "Yeah, you go on out this road, and you turn by the big oak tree. You remember where the barn burnt down 2 years ago? That's where you turn to the right, and we're on down there a piece." How am I supposed to know where this barn burnt down 2 years ago? This by a big old oak tree. All on the same load that shit happened. I couldn't believe it.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah. I have a question
All right.
for you guys. Which is scarier, cabbage or Donner?
Depends
What's
on
that?
weather.
What the season is?
Yeah. Donner never really bothered me. I mean, you can go faster down
Cabbage.
Donner, right, right, Jim? AJ?
Donner's not bad as long as you follow the signs.
Yes.
If you do what the signs say to do, you're do good.
Yeah. Just do the speed that it calls for, because the speed of traffic in a truck coming down Donner going into Sacramento, it's a lot it's a lot faster. When you're on Cabbage, I went under 30 going down Cabbage. I'll be honest, it was a little scary for me, and I was green in the business. Joel and I have been down it many times.
Do you remember the runaway truck lane? The truck?
Yeah, I didn't go up it, but
that was Cabbage.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those there.
Yeah, I've seen trucks going. I've seen one truck right in front of me take it. But
really?
Yeah.
Oh, that had to be
terrifying. Yeah. When I went by, I just kept looking to see, because as I passed him, I could see he was already buried in the sand, and the driver was still leaning forward, holding onto the steering wheel. He was that scared, and I would have been too.
Yeah.
Jim or AJ, have you guys ever taken a runaway truck ramp?
No, I never have.
That's good.
When I first started driving.
What was that, AJ?
What?
Said I've never took a runaway truck ramp. I have took a ditch before, but I've not took a runaway truck ramp.
I can remember when I first started driving back in '81. They changed Mount Eagle, but the old way, when you went down Mount Eagle, I was with my cousin again, and he pulled over after we went around the first corner and stopped. And I said, "What are we stopping for?" He said, "I want to show you something." He said, "Come on, let's get out." And we walked over to the edge, and he says, "Look down there." And I says, "What's that down there?" And he says, "Well, that's trucks." He says, "Now look up above." I says, "So what's up there?" And he says, "That's the end of the truck runoff ramp. Those are the trucks that went through the ramp and went airborne and landed at the bottom." He says, "Now I want you to remember one thing. You can go down these hills as many times as you want to too slow, but you only do it once too fast."
That's right. Yeah.
And I'll never forget that.
Hey,
Well,
Russell.
guys, go ahead.
Hey, do you remember that one guy, Gerald, that was team driving with me when we were back at the other company?
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Yeah. The first time he went with me into California. He'd never been to California, and he was mad because we were coming in off of I-80 through Truckee going towards. We were going into California through Donner Pass.
Over Donners, yeah.
And as soon as over Donner, as soon as we get into the state, he starts yelling. I'm like, what's this dude yelling at? So I come out of the sleeper, right? And he's all like, "Man, why do you keep changing the speed limit sign on us? I'm doing 50, then it changes to 70, then it changes to 55, then it changes back to like no, dude, man, the 70 is for the cars and the 55 is for the 18-wheelers. Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I can tell you a certain truck driver that I teamed with, won't name any names, but we were coming around Kansas. I remember being in the sleeper in Kansas City. I think I had been driving nights, and so Joel was driving during the day, and all of a sudden, and there is a sharp. I don't. It's the loop around Kansas City. It's a sharp.
It's 90 degrees.
It's a pretty sharp on ramp, but you're not coming from a slower road. You're on a highway going to another highway, so your speed's up, and you're probably supposed to slow it down to 35 or 40 on that, Joel. But
I think
all
it's
of a sudden,
25.
I
think
woke
it's 25
up.
on that corner.
Maybe you know where I'm talking about, then, right, Jim?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I woke up, and I mean, we were green too, but I woke up and I could feel the driver's side of the whole rig lift off the ground, and I'm in the bunk, and I immediately jumped up and I go out there, and Joel, he looked white as a ghost hanging onto the steering wheel.
green.
Yeah, and I'm like, what happened? He goes, nothing. We're good.
We're on 9 wheels.
I can just picture him saying that too.
I could feel it. We came off the ground. I know we did. Nothing. We're good. And he just death grip on the steering wheel.
Didn't overcorrect.
Yeah. He kept me alive though. I will say thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.
Well,
So
guys,
in
thanks.
the future, I got a story I can tell you about Donner.
Yeah.
I can tell you about my wheels coming off the ground with a load of swinging meat. You just keep me in mind for another show.
Oh, we will. Stories from the road with Jim Mackey. It's going to be I told you, your ratings are up really high, Jim, so we're going to keep it going.
To the moon.
All right.
AJ.
Follow me.
AJ.
Yes.
Did you see on Meadowlark's Facebook they put the picture of your truck, and AJ's got it decked out with breast cancer awareness. Nikki put that on there today. And AJ always keeps his truck clean and looking good. Right now it's in the shop. We're going to help him get through that. But, yeah, AJ, I saw that today. So
I shared that on the Talkin Truckin page as well.
Oh, okay, cool. It's on our page here, too. So AJ, Ray, Jim, Christian, everybody, thanks for joining us on the show. A couple shout-outs. Thanks, Brian, at Truckworx. Ray's getting ready to pick up his second truck, right, Ray?
Yeah. If everything works out, I should be there next week or so. Yeah, we'll work it out between me and Brian.
Yeah.
Is he getting a cooler with that one?
I want your custom Yeti cup.
I think
I'm getting I'm getting the cooler that Mike Doty's supposed to get. I think.
I'm saying, man. I've been saying
Mike Doty's probably already
I'm not
about
buying.
that cooler.
Mike Doty's going to get the
Buying
lunch
another damn cooler.
And if that cooler shows up in Richmond, Virginia, now that we've introduced Brian and Christian, I'm going to be pretty upset. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that one was cool. I like the shape of that one.
Yeah, I threw it away today. Finally, I have to replace
Brian,
it.
yeah, Brian said that Mike was a cool guy and he'd be okay if I just took his cooler.
Well, listen, shout out to Truckworx and shout out to Over the Road Apparel, the work clothes for the modern day trucker. And if no one else has anything,
I got something.
What do you got?
I got New England picking Mac Jones, quarterback.
There you go. Last one. And with that said, go Browns, go Indians, and go Cavaliers.
The Browns are picking a defensive end.
And of
Greg
course,
Russo.
do not forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Also
Get the word
comment.
out there.
Thanks.